Hello, hello. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 3 emails that I highly recommend to coaches and course creators, creators. Like if you're selling information online and you're running a promo, you're going to want to send these 3 emails. I send them every single launch that I do for my clients, and they make a lot of money. So in case you didn't know me, my name's Theo, and I do email marketing for coaches, course creators, info product people on a commission-only basis. I've been part of 3 6-figure launches. I've helped a lot of people, 3 6-figure launches and then more 5-figure launches than I can count at this point. And these are kind of some of the emails that I've done that with. So email number 1 is the kind of the big objection email, right? So you take the number one thing that's kind of on your prospect's mind that they're on the fence about, that's maybe holding them back, and you talk about it. And this email is best to send when you're approaching a deadline. So it's good to send on the last day of your launch. If you're sending multiple emails, there's an even better email to send on the last day of your launch, which I'll get to later in this video. But if you're willing to send multiple emails to your list on the last day, which I highly recommend doing, this is a good one to send kind of in the morning on your cart close day. And that's the big objection email. So you talk about your audience's biggest objection to buying, and then you confront it head on. And usually your audience, I mean, it depends on your audience, but typically the biggest objection to buying that people are going to have is either they don't have the money, or they just don't trust that they're going to actually get the result that you're promising them. So this is an email that I wrote for one of my clients who runs a coaching program that helps people pass the NPTE, which is kind of like the bar exam for physical therapists. It's like if you're a physical therapist, you have to pass this exam to get a license. A lot of people fail it, and they get really anxious about it. And this email is basically making the argument that it's going to cost you more money to not join his program than it is to join the program. Right, so you think you're a college student, or you're a university graduate, and you've been to graduate school for a physical therapist, and you don't have that much money. And it's like, why should I spend $3,500 to have somebody help me with this exam? Well, the reason is because if you miss 3 months salary, if you fail this exam, you can't take it for another 3 months. You're going to miss out on 3 months salary, and that's going to cost you $16,500. So it's just not worth the risk. Right? And then there's all these other problems that you get if you fail the exam, and it's much better to not fail by signing up with me and joining my program. So that's basically the argument here. And I will I'll put this, I'll set this up in a doc. I'll set out all this. I'll share this document with you. What you can do for all these emails, in fact, is you can just copy and paste them and put them into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, here's my offer. Here's the promo that I'm doing. Can you write an email for me based on this this email that this guy on YouTube said would work? And it won't be a perfect email, but it'll give you kind of a workable first draft. If you don't know anything about copywriting and you're kind of on a budget, this can work. There's ways to do it better, but if you just want like the minimum viable way to send one of these emails, that can work too. So email number 2 is the case study email. This is really good. Like pretty much anybody who sells information online, like nobody really trusts you until they get to know you really well. And even then, they don't really trust you until they've actually bought one of your programs and seen for yourself kind of what's behind the veil, what all the goodies that exist behind the paywall. And so this kind of hints at like, hey, this stuff actually does work. You're not going to be wasting your money if you sign up with me. So this is the case study email. You just talk about one of your past students who kind of reached the promised land, and you tell their story in full. So I wrote this email for one of my clients who runs this service where he coaches people to get funding for their startup. And Pepchin, he's the client. He was a former McKinsey consultant turned startup founder. He didn't really know about the way that venture capital worked. Venture capital, you kind of have to learn how to deal with those guys specifically. You have to be very vision-based and sales-based, and they don't really like getting into the nitty-gritty of numbers. So Pepchin was doing that. He's making this mistake. And then after we showed Pepchin what to do, he got this outcome. And it's really important that you put a specific outcome, like, hey, they raised this much money, or, they hit 20K a month after 3 months, or they got a beautiful, sexy girlfriend, or whatever the outcome is. You got to talk about the outcome. I put it in bold in this email. So yeah, just make sure that you're kind of making the benefit very vivid and very clear and very inarguable. Like you don't want it to be fuzzy. You don't want it to be like, oh yeah, they were so glad they signed up. It's like, this is what they achieved. And then email number 3 is the cart close email. And this is pretty simple. This is just like, hey, we're about to close the cart, so you better get in now, or you're gonna not be able to get this offer. So it's basically, this is the last email that I send on every promo. I'll let people know the sale is ending, recap the offer, and then recap the big benefit that they're going to get. So, hey, you got to sign up now or you won't get in. So here's the link again. And then PS, just to recap, in this case, this is kind of like a downsell to their main program. So, it contains everything you need to start and scale your beauty brand, so you can quickly scale your business up to quit your job level. So there's their benefit, is quit your job. And then here's what you're going to get. You're going to get everything you need to start and scale your beauty brand. This email doesn't need to be that simple. A lot of the time what I'll do is I'll have kind of like a list of bullet points of like, here's what you're going to learn. And especially if it's like a course, if it's a coaching program, it'll be more outcome based. But yeah, it could just be a few lines like, hey, we're closing. Here's the link to sign up. Here's everything you're going to get. Here's the link to sign up again. And then I've got a bonus here. This is the hot topic email. So for this same launch for Positioning Powerhouse, I also wrote this email. This is for a list of women business owners, and a lot of them love Taylor Swift. So I wrote an email about Taylor Swift, and this email did 3 times the click-through rate of the rest of the emails. I think like half the sales came from this email. So just take some, and this was August of 2024, September of 2024. So Taylor Swift was kind of all the rage at that point. She had won the Time Magazine Person of the Year the year before. Everybody loves Taylor Swift. So, and then another example of like a hot topic would be like, if you want to get political, it's a little bit, you got to get into the weeds a little bit more. But you can talk about like Trump or Elon Musk. You can talk about and it could also be like specific to your niche too. If there's something going on in your world specifically, like a news item that everybody's talking about, you can turn it into an email. But yeah, basically the pitch was here, this Taylor Swift fans are obsessed with her, and if you want to build, she built a cult brand, and if you want to build your cult brand, then you need to do what Taylor Swift does, and I'll teach you how to do it. And you can pay $5,000 to get in this program, or you can just pay $1,000 to get in this other program. And then there's kind of the bullets of here's what you're going to learn. Remind people of the deadline. I left this blank because the client wasn't sure exactly when the deadline was going to be. And then here's the link. And then bonus number 2, this is the before and after email, where you say like, hey, here's what your life looks like right now, and here's what your life could look like. Either you can talk about this directly, you can be like, right now you're a loser with no money and no girlfriend and no job, blah blah blah. But when you're a winner like me, you could kind of take the direct approach. I like to usually take the indirect approach by, you can also like fold this in with a case study email where, like, hey, here's what this person life looked like, and then they signed up for my program and they got this. But you can also do it with like talking about yourself. Like, I used to be where you are, and then I discovered all this stuff, and now here's what my life looks like. So this is an email that I wrote to sell a course on how to use Google Sheets, and kind of the big value prop was going to be, if you know how to use Google Sheets, you will become indispensable at work, right? Like, your boss will treat you with more respect, you'll get a raise, you'll get promoted, you will be not at risk of getting laid off. It's like, I started this business because I used to be pissed off at work. I wasn't getting paid what I deserved. I kept getting passed over for promotions. People weren't listening to me. So I got good at Google Sheets, and it changed everything. I started getting raises and promotions. People started respecting me. Spreadsheets filled, and you kind of like link it together. Like, this is what in this, because like the connection between learning spreadsheets and getting raises and promotions is a little bit tenuous. So I kind of spelled it out for people a little bit more. But it's basically like, here's where I was. here's where I got to. If you're where I was and you want to get to where I got to, then join my program. So yeah, these are kind of the 5 email templates, form systems, whatever you want to call them, that I really like, and that I will use during pretty much every launch that I work on. If you want, you're welcome to check out the rest of my content on YouTube and do some of this yourself. If you want me to just hire me to do these promos for you on a commission-only basis, come talk to me. There's a link in the description, theoseeds.com/promos. We can get on a free call. There's no obligation. I'm not like in a hard sales pitch you or anything. It's mostly just about like finding out if we're a fit, finding out if I like you, finding out if you like me. And you'll learn something from the call. So if I say to you like, hey, I can't help your business, or if you decide like, hey, I don't like you, Theo, I don't like your mustache, I don't want to work with you, you'll still get something from the call that will help you with whatever launch you're putting on or whatever offer you're trying to sell. So yeah, there's no risk to you, and there's a lot of potential benefit. So click the link in the description, theoseeds.com/promos, and I will see you soon. Take care.